The phrase urban legends, for me at least.
Great job.
The phrase urban legend, for me at least, brings forth images of secluded moorlands haunted by mysterious beasts, seemingly innocuous buildings being used for top secret hangouts for shadow organizations, or people waking up in hotel bathrooms and realizing that they're missing a kidney. That's how Dave thinks about urban legends, and honestly, Dave, who wrote today's script, me too. That's what urban legends is. Like the one where it's like, that you wake up and it says call an ambulance on the mirror because someone's cut out your kidney and now it's in a terrorist or something. However, since the dawn of the internet, there has existed another kind of urban legend. Stories of mysterious, all-knowing internet overlords, stories of strange websites that people stumbled across once and were never able to find again, and stories of such peculiar online happenings that they couldn't possibly be true. Could they?
Can a fertilized octopus egg ingested into the human system actually grow inside the body?
I mean, who hasn't come across a website or a thing and you've clicked on it, you open it in a tab, and then you're like, oh no, I can't remember what it was? And then I guess you could use internet history, couldn't you? You totally could. I don't know why I don't do that more often, because I'll close a tab and be like, oh no, I didn't mean to close that. And then you're just like, whatever, it probably wasn't that interesting. Moving on. For today's episode, I've traveled to the very bottom of the internet in order to unearth some of its most bizarre urban legends. Okay, internet urban legends. Let's go. All right, picture this. You're sitting in your favorite cafe, sipping your coffee, scrolling through the internet. Maybe you're catching up on the latest headlines or looking for a good deal on a fright. Life is good. But guess who's also tuned into your activity? Well, potentially hackers, advertisers, and well, pretty much anyone else with bad intentions. Here's the thing. We don't usually think about it, but our online activity is pretty exposed. But that's where Surfshark comes in. It's like putting a digital cloak on, keeping you private, secure, and hidden from all of those prying eyes. Surfshark is a VPN that encrypts your data, hides your browsing activity, and makes you virtually invisible online. It's like wearing pants, but for your digital life. All that important stuff stays private. But it gets even better. You can use Surfshark on unlimited devices, your phone, laptop, tablet, whatever, or with just one account. And with over 3,200 servers in 100 locations, it feels like you're traveling the world without leaving your couch. And say goodbye to pesky ads and malware popping up everywhere. Surfshark blocks them like a digital bouncer. If you ever run into a snag, they've got 24/7 customer service ready to help. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you could try it out risk-free. So don't wait. Secure your digital life with Surfshark. Click the link below or go to surfshark.com/blaze and enjoy 4 extra months for free. That's surfshark.com/blaze. Promo code BLAZE. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring. And now back to today's episode. Time travel. Not real. I mean, definitely real. You're moving forward in time right now as we speak. But like time travel backwards or like fast forward, not possible. I mean, fast forward, sure, from your perspective, if they speed you up to like near the speed of light or put you near an incredibly dense object, sure, you could like travel forward in time. But not backwards. Throughout history, and there's not some edgelord on the internet who can time travel. Sorry, it's not real.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Throughout history, there have been many alleged incidents of people being caught traveling through time. Alleged. These instances include, but are not limited to, a painting called The Man Handing a Letter to a Woman in the Entrance Hall, which Apple CEO Tim Cook swears depicts an iPhone, in spite of the painting being more than 300 years old, and the title suggesting that the item is in fact a letter. Tim Cook, why would you say that? Why would you even say that there's an iPhone in this old picture? Because then people will be like, well, you didn't invent it then, did you? Or Steve Jobs, whoever invented the iPhone. I don't know who invented the iPhone. It doesn't matter. It's not real, Tim. You're the CEO of one of the largest companies in the world. Stop being such a doofus. The Philadelphia experiment, a set of experiments carried out during World War II by the United States Navy, which may or may not, probably not, have caused the USS Eldridge to travel back in time for 10 seconds. Yeah, this didn't happen. I made a video about this on Decoding the Unknown, which is another channel I do. You should check it out. It's a lot of fun. Also a podcast where we talked about this, and it's total bunkum. It's bullshit. It's a bunch of wank. And the somewhat bizarre story of John Titor. Given I don't know that one at all. I mean, I feel like I do. I've probably talked about it on Decoding the Unknown, where all this bullshit comes up. But don't remember it. Given that all the first example does is call into question Tim Cook's ability to read, and even if the second example were true, traveling backward in time for 10 seconds on one occasion is kind of boring, let's take a closer look at John Titor. So, what's the deal? Well, I'm glad we're taking a look at the one I didn't know, because if I cover the Philadelphia experiment again, I'll shoot myself in the face with a gun. rather than like a crossbow or something. It's a bit more complicated. In 1998, a weird radio... In 1998, on a weird paranormal radio show called Coast to Coast AM, host Art Bell read out a fax from somebody claiming to be a real-life time traveler. Using a fax. Dear Art, I had to fax when I heard other time travelers calling in from any time past the year 2500 AD. Please let me explain. Time travel was invented in 2034. Better hurry up. I don't think we're 10 years away from time travel, to be honest. Offshoots of a certain successful fusion reactor research allowed scientists at CERN to produce the world's first contained singularity engine. The basic design involves rotating singularities inside a magnetic field. By altering the speed and direction of rotation, you can travel both forward and backward in time. Time itself can be understood in terms of connected lines. When you go back in time, you travel on your original timeline. When you turn the singularity engine off, a new timeline is created due to the fact that you and your time machine are now there. Some interesting outcomes of this are: 1. You meet yourself. I have done it often, even taken a younger version of myself along for a few rides before returning myself to the new timeline and going back to mine. Why? People like this, I'm like, you got so much free time on your hands. Like, it's not real! So why are you doing this? I mean, on the other hand, Art Bell's probably like fucking free-ass content, dude. I'm just gonna read this, talk about it. Boom! Make my life easier, random man from the alleged future. Sometimes I'll notice car manuals that don't exist or books that come out late. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that anyone going forward in time from May 2036 hits a brick wall in the year 2564. Please pray we discover the reason why there is no apparent future after 2564. Fascinating. It would later transpire that the alleged sender of the fax was a man called John Titor. After sending a few more faxes to the radio station, Titor moved his storytelling onto the internet. Through a series of online posts, he explained to anybody who was interested that he worked for a branch of the military and had been sent back in time in order to retrieve an IBM 5100 personal computer for reasons. As with all such alleged time travelers, he attempted to prove his legitimacy by predicting certain events that would take place in the future. Good luck with that one. I get the feeling it's not going to work out very well. At the time, many of these predictions sounded plausible. A global outbreak of CJD, civil war, a huge computer-based catastrophe that would destroy civilization as we know it. That sort of thing. These are bold predictions. This isn't like, oh, it's, fuck, who are those people who predict your future? Mediums? Tarot card readers! It's not like, they just keep it super generic and they're like, ooh, I sense that you'll be going on holiday soon. Oh, how did you know? It's August! So clever! The trouble is, and I suppose I should provide a spoiler alert, we are now living in the future that Titor describes, and not only did the things he predicted not happen when he said they would, they have continued not to happen until now. Well, I'm sure that's just because he went back in time and changed things, so the timeline that he came from, where all of these things did happen, just didn't happen on our timeline because of the butterfly effect. Obviously, come on, use your brain! That's obviously what's going on here. Nevertheless, there were people then, and there are people now, who fully believed his story, including one woman who became hugely emotionally invested and claims that one day he will return. Just like Jesus, John Titor will come again.
That's what she said.
So, apart from the failed predictions, the dodgy time machine instructions he provided, and the fact that time travel is as impossible now as it was then, it's because it's not 2034 yet. Duh. And there are Are there any other little hints out there which might lead us to believe that the whole thing was a hoax? Well, I'm glad you asked, because there just might be. According to an extensive article on Thrillist.com, Joseph Matheny, a multimedia artist, consulted with the team that invented not only Titor, but his entire alternate timeline. Oh no! It's proven false! Oh no! The people who believed it and that poor emotionally invested woman are going to be so disappointed.
Yes, very sad. Anyway,
I'm going to be picky with what I say to you over what I've said in the past. John Titor is a story that was created as a literary experiment by people who were observing what I was doing with Ong's Hat, pioneering early alternate reality game, and these people wanted to do something like that. I was a consultant on the project, but it wasn't my project. He went on to say, I thought everybody would get this I thought everybody would get this was a wink wink nudge nudge, but when they didn't, I went to other people involved and said, let's come out and tell the truth. But nobody would. Unfortunately, as far as I was able to ascertain, his co-conspirators have still not come forward. With the internet being what it is and people being what they are, this has left a depressing number of people claiming that Matheny is either trying to steal credit for the whole idea or, more sinisterly, has been paid off by government entities unknown to fabricate the fabrication of this fabrication in order to cover up the truth. I mean, all I can say to that is, yeah, obviously. What do you think? Please don't be dumb. Use the comments.
That's asking a lot of the audience.
WebDriver Torso. I've been kicking around on the internet since about 1998. I remember Napster before Lars Ulrich fucked up for everyone. For details on this, please do check out the South Park episode titled Christian Rock Hard. I remember the launch of Miniclip, and I remember YouTube before Simon was on it. Oof, the dark days of YouTube. During all that time, I thought I'd done a pretty good job of keeping myself up to date with the various mainstream oddities, but it seems that this one completely passed me by while everybody else enjoyed it. In fact, until my wife mentioned it to me in the brief 30-minute window between us finishing work, feeding our child and ourselves, and getting her ready to sleep while I returned to work, I had never even heard of WebDriver Torso. I've heard of WebDriver Torso. Pretty sure we made... My gut tells me Kevin wrote a script about this for Decoding the Unknown. That's another channel I do. I mentioned that already, didn't I?
Yes!
It's also a podcast. If you enjoy this show, you probably will enjoy it. So why not check it out? If you want to. On the off chance that I'm not the only person who hasn't, as the internet appears to suggest, I shall tell you about it now. On March the 7th of 2013, a channel appeared on YouTube with the name WebDriver Torso. Initially, this channel did nothing at all. It simply sat as unused and neglected as the Conservative Party tick box on the latest UK voting slip. This is a couple of weeks old now when I'm recording this, but God, the Conservatives got fucking smashed, bro. Conservative Party tick box, I read that already.
Professionalism.
On the 23rd of September that year, however, that all changed. The channel began to release content with such rapidity that I'm not sure that even Simon could have kept up with it. Challenge accepted, Dave. Okay, the videos weren't exactly of brain-blazing qualities, and nothing as good as this, is there, everybody?
Hey! Shut up!
Consisting mostly of 10-second slideshows of blue and red rectangles on a white background accompanied by various beeping tones. However, given that whoever was in control of the channel was uploading about one video every minute, and the channel now hosts 624,000 videos! Holy shit, I mean, I've made a few thousand videos, but not 624,000, and I've been doing this for a decade. Whoever was doing this had a serious dedication to boring slideshows. For a while, the channel continued to go unnoticed. However, you can't upload that much content, even if it is truly stultifying content without somebody noticing. Over the next month, the channel not only developed a huge following, but people also began to speculate as to exactly, what the was going on. Obviously, the idea of some sort of alien communication attempt was mentioned. As was the suggestion of an advanced mind control project, because, well, isn't every slightly inexplicable thing on the internet one of those two things? Yes. Or it could have just been a really boring test by YouTube or somebody trying to break YouTube, because that's what people do. I also enjoy this. Generally, when I'm on planes and you have the in-flight entertainment in the back of the seat in front of you or whatever, I'm always like, I won't watch a movie. I'll just spend hours trying to find the link that goes to the wrong place or the way to access the back-end files and see clicking on sides of the screen and all of this stuff, or swiping and just trying to break it in general, just trying to break into it. I was in a soft play the other day, where the kids play, and they had a candy floss machine. And I was just sitting by this candy floss machine. It was kind of empty, and I'm just kind of bored. So I'm just going to play with this candy floss machine, see if I can, do anything to it. And I eventually work out, there was some button that you could press, or some holding from the side or something, because it's a touch screen. And it gave you the login as either the person who's come to fill it up or the person who sets it up for the store. And I click on the one for setting it up for the store, and it's enter your passcode. And I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd press enter, and it's hey, now you can set the prices. And I'm free candy floss for everyone. I'm not, because I just closed it and I was like, that's interesting that I figured that out. I love doing this kind of stuff. I don't know why. It's like a puzzle that isn't really a puzzle. One idea put forward actually had at least a logical root to it, and that was the idea that this mysterious channel might just be a modern-day incarnation of a numbers station. If you don't know what numbers stations are... Dave, do I not know what numbers stations are? Come on, Dave. I've read more spy books than you can imagine, Dave. Here is an extremely simplified description. If you've ever played around with radios outside of traditional broadcast, odds are you'll have come across random transmissions consisting of either Morse code or spoken numbers in a synthesized voice. Perhaps not so much nowadays, but not too long ago, various intelligence agencies around the world would use this system to send messages to agents out in the field. Using the one-time pad method, an incredibly secure form of encryption if used correctly, these signals could be sent out into the world with the safe and secure knowledge that the information would only be decrypted by the correct person. What if some person reasoned this is what was happening with WebDriver Torso? Yeah, but look, we've got spies have secure ways of talking to each other these days. Like drug dealers have Telegram, spies have Spyagram, or whatever the fuck spies have. We don't even know about it, but it's a secure encrypted way for them to talk to each other. They don't need this anymore. I mean, why wouldn't you take a system that worked perfectly for decades, make it much more complicated, and draw a huge amount of attention to it in the process? All excellent questions. As speculation reached fever pitch, a few videos appeared on the channel which deviated from the norm. One of these videos showed a view of the Eiffel Tower at night. Incidentally, taking pictures or videos of the Eiffel Tower at night is technically illegal without prior permission. Wait a bit? What? How? And the other video was a Rickroll. Shortly after this, though, the whole thing was allegedly solved. After an internet sleuth compiled a large amount of evidence that suggested the channel was being operated out of Google's office in Zurich, the company released a statement claiming that WebDriver Torso was a Google-operated test channel used to ensure uploaded content maintained the same quality as the originals. Sticking with the Rick Astley theme for some reason, Google's statement read in part, "We are never going to give you uploading that's slow or loses video quality, and we're never going to let you down by playing poor YouTube in poor video."
You're doing so well.
By playing YouTube in poor video quality. That's why we're always running tests like WebDriver Torso. It's not bad. It's not bad, Google. It's not bad for a corporate joke. And that, you would think, would be the end of it. But alas, no. There are still several. Of course there are. It's like conspiracy theory solved. But you get these people who are so deep in the conspiracy theory, they're like, no. It can't possibly be true. It's got to be more complicated than that. I couldn't possibly be wrong. I couldn't possibly need to revisit and adjust my opinions on something. That would make me look like an idiot. A dumb idiot. Who claimed that the submission by Google is just a big cover-up, and the channel is being used for nefarious purposes, given that the last video was uploaded 8 months ago and has approximately 113,000 views. If it is a secret government mind control device, then it's actually fairly effective. If it's attempting to remain under the radar and transmit classified information, then not so much. The 4chan alien.
Sorry, wait a second. I just need a drink in my hand for this. This is going to be good. Please commence.
On the 21st of February 2017, on the anonymous image board known as 4chan, there allegedly appeared an extremely realistic, high-resolution photo of some sort of alien. This photo, which contained coordinates for somewhere around 25 miles or 40 kilometers away from Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, remained online for anything between 30 seconds and a couple of hours. As a completely uninteresting aside... Okay, great for my retention rates where we do uninteresting asides, Dave. Let's go. This particular Air Force base was the original home of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. You're right, that is boring. I wrote an exceptionally mediocre script on this particular display team several years ago, and it was actually the first video I ever published. Well, there you go. Depressingly, it was also the least watched video I've ever worked on, even though it has obviously been online for the longest amount of time anyway. Honestly, Dave, that's my fault. I don't know why I chose that subject. It's not very good. Maybe I've just learned some things over the last few years. I wouldn't do that these days.
I'm older and I'm wiser.
Yeah, well, you're half right.
Anyway, let's go back to the alien. There have been many descriptions of what this picture looked like, but this one from Reddit user Miriliux is probably my favorite. Now, the original description is nearly 600 words. Jesus Christ. They do say a picture tells 1,000 words, doesn't it? But in Mirilax's case, it actually tells 600, which is enormous. So I've taken the liberty of removing quite a bit of unnecessary fluff. Its skin was not grey, more of an off-yellow colour with some visible elements under the skin and not entirely even. Someone described it as being like vegetable skin, which I guess is a good analogy. Its eyes were not a perfect oval shape and perhaps had a slight texture to them. They were large though. I remember thinking, and not in a funny way, it looked like it was trying to take a selfie, but it didn't really understand what a selfie was. It seemed expressive in a way, in its face positioning. I don't really remember reading a mood or understanding what that expression may be, but it seemed like it was trying to convey something. The desert scene behind, the image quality, everything about it struck me as real. When you see CGI, even if it's very good, you know it's CGI. I've been a graphic designer for nearly a decade. I know my way around Photoshop. Now, I didn't examine it in detail, but even from a glance, you can tell that this would require a team of very talented digital artists to get close to this, and even then, to imagine such a thing seems highly unlikely. Whoever's editing this, can you dump that into Midjourney? See what it comes up with? Some weird, like, vegetable skin alien taking a selfie? Like, what the fuck?
I will name him George, and I will hug him and pet him and squeeze him.
Almost every description I found is, if not exactly the same, then very similar, with most people claiming that they experienced feelings of unease, and several going so far as to say that the image induced genuine feelings of terror or even nausea. Oh, this sounds like something a vegetable skin Midjourney image would do. One Reddit user, when asked why they did not make a copy of the image, responded thusly, I didn't save it because I did not want to. This shit was different, man. Fucking unnerving. That's why everyone went wild when they saw it. It wasn't just dumb internet kids overreacting to the images you see circulating now. I fundamentally did not want to save it to my hard drive. Shortly, or not so shortly after the image was posted, several Cloudflare servers mysteriously went offline, and given that these servers were hosting 4chan, the entire website became inaccessible for an undecided amount of time.
Conspiracy.
This is when the mystery truly begins. When 4chan once again became available to everybody on the internet, as the aforementioned alien picture had completely disappeared. Not only that, but no record of it ever having existed at all could be found in the archives. As you can probably imagine, this led to a certain amount of indignation amongst alien enthusiasts everywhere, and posts quickly began popping up all over the internet asking if anybody had seen the original, and if they had they had the presence of mind to download it or at least take a screenshot. Shockingly, almost nobody of the thousands of people who claim to have seen the original post have done this. Even more bizarrely, the majority of those who had taken a copy claimed that when they went back to find it, the files had been removed from The files had mysteriously vanished from their computers. So, what happened to the alleged picture? Well, that really depends on which school of thought you subscribe to. The official story is that it was an elaborate hoax, and the original photo was, in fact, a Photoshop image of an alien taken directly from the TV show The X-Files. Yeah, it was that or something else. It's not a real alien with vegetable skin. Aliens don't have vegetable skin. What are the odds that aliens have vegetable skin? Have you ever met anyone with a vegetable skin? No. Why would the aliens have it? Maybe they just have grey regular skin. Maybe they don't have skin at all. Maybe they're like jellyfish. Somebody even went to the effort of posting a step-by-step description of how exactly the image was altered. However, as you probably guessed by now, not everybody was satisfied with this explanation. Of course they weren't. There's going to be the small group who won't ever change their opinion on anything. There are people out there, quite reasonable-seeming people, who hold down jobs, are allowed to vote, own firearms, and hardly smoke any crack at all, who genuinely seem to believe that the following sequence of events is more plausible. The alien had recently been captured while visiting us and was being detained at the nearby Air Force Base awaiting processing. Due to some sort of lapse in security, it escaped and fled into the desert after quickly acquiring a mobile phone. Obviously, terrified by the thought of imminent recapture, our alien decided that the only way to inform the world of its existence was to take a quick selfie and post it on the world's most eminent source of legitimate information, 4chan.
Makes perfect sense.
I'm not sure about you, but I'm definitely convinced. And that wraps it up for this episode. You might be interested to know that I was going to include an entry about so-called Red Rooms, channels on the dark web that show live torture sessions and allow people to decide what happens next. However, I reached out to a friend of mine who is so high up in IT security that he has not only achieved the honor of a pixelated face, but also a pixelated name, and he told me that these are very real. And he told me that these are very real indeed, and the topic is not up for debate. Holy shit, I didn't want to know that, Dave. I just didn't want to know that. I just didn't. Thanks for watching. I've read more spy books than you can imagine, Dave.